Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall, and I'm delighted as always to be joined by Owen. And we're here with a bit of a further reaction today to following on from Moses Itauma's one-round demolition job of Dillian Whyte this past weekend in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, it was a quick night's work for Itauma, and the sky's the limit, it seems, for Moses Itauma, the unbeaten superstar. But we're here to discuss one fight in particular, and it's the biggest fight you can get. The kingpin of the division, Oleksandr Usyk. Turkey Al Sheikh seems to want it, and it's garnered a lot of debate on between fans and pundits alike, I suppose, that Turkey Al Sheikh is calling for this fight. Yeah, let's jump into it. What's your thoughts on this in terms of, the chances that you think it could happen and whether you want to see it happen? What's your general thoughts?
I did the reaction to this fight, and for anyone that's watched the reaction on the channel, that has seen me say I think it's stupidity for Moses Itauma to take this fight next, and I stand by that. I stand by that because he needs someone he's going to learn off, and I just think the lessons at this stage of his and Usyk's career that he would teach him aren't the lessons he necessarily needs. I think any lessons are good, but like they said, they want Jermaine Franklin because they'll get him rounds, but Jermaine Franklin's just going to be a punch bag. What does he gain from that other than beating someone up for however long it lasts? I think Usyk next is ridiculous for me. It's not ridiculous in the sense of he's just destroying everyone. Like Dillian Whyte's a credible heavyweight. Love him, loathe him, whatever you think. Obviously, he was popped at one point, but we've seen him in with big names, Fury, AJ, etc. We've seen what he done to Derek Chisora. No one does that to Derek Chisora when he absolutely slept him. So he has got dynamite in his hands when he lets him go. And Moses Itauma just embarrassed him in the best shape of his life. So he needs someone that's going to give him a fight. And the only people that are going to give him a fight are, like you say, Hergovic, Usyk, maybe Joe Parker, etc. Because I firmly believe if you put Moses Itauma in with Daniel Dubois next, he would absolutely steamroll through Daniel Dubois, and it wouldn't last more than 4 rounds. So for me, I think Hergovic, I would love the Hergovic fight next. Absolute granite chin. There isn't any words to describe that chin. It's just freakish. So yeah, one of those for me. I think Usyk next. Bad move. Bad move.
Yeah, interesting. You do make good points. We did speak about it, of course, in the ESBR group chat on Saturday. And yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Of course, it's too much too soon. It is too much too soon for a town in that sense. He wouldn't win. He wouldn't win the fight, although there's no shame in that. Not a lot of people have beat Usyk. Where I'm coming from is the fact that, even in defeat, he would learn an incredible amount in defeat.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that would be kind of the hope and that. But I do get what you're saying in terms of the lessons, the beating that he would take, and that would be pretty big gap, in skill level there, and Usyk, as you said, and the reaction video of the clip we put out, he'd be hitting him from angles that he's never seen before. Moses Itauma, he'd be hitting him from every which way but loose. Yeah, so I think l- the positive side of it, it's a bit of a win-win for Itauma. He's not going to win, um, but he would learn, and if he was to pull it off, my God, it would be absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, I do get what you're saying in terms of stepping him up, the levels, maybe one or two fights more before we could kind of talk about this a bit more seriously. The likes of a Hergovic, I think, would be the perfect opponent. I think you've hit the nail on the head there in terms of granite chin, will come to win the fight. But it is a winnable fight for Moses Itauma, absolutely. So I think that's a perfect next step for Itauma. because as you say, I think he is levels above a lot of heavyweights. I really do. I think he's destined for the top. I'm a big
Mhm.
Itauma fan. I know you are as well. You know, questions were asked. You know, it took a bit of Dillian White took a bit of slack for what stage of his career he's at. But as you say, it is a credible win, especially the manner in which he done it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I do get where you're coming from. I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't be that mad at it if it was announced next. And, I think the chances of it might be quite likely, what Turkey wants, Turkey usually gets with the money that's involved there. But yeah, they need a big bag of cash for Usyk to accept that fight, to be honest, where Usyk's at now. But yeah, we did kind of discuss there. You kind of gave a great example of who Itauma should fight next, and I do agree. Let's say it does happen this Usyk fight though. What sort of a chance, maybe a percentage wise, would you give a Itauma if they were to fight next? What chance would you give a Itauma of winning that fight?
30. I think it'd be. I don't think it's completely out the realms of possibility that he catches Usyk and then just unloads an absolute barrage of punches. I just think he's so clever. For me, it's the second AJ fight. Everyone went, "Oh, there's the blueprint. Why has no one used it?" Time and time again, it's mental. It's almost like Usyk gets discredited. He's weak to the body, AJ, but he's a generational superstar. He's going to go down as one of the greats. So for your first, Dylan White's obviously a decent name, but for your first big welcoming fight to welcome to the top of the table, welcome to the party, Moses Itauma, I think Usyk just ties him up in knots. I think he's clever. Usyk keeps moving. I don't want to say Itauma's fought like punch bags and standing still, but even Dylan White threw a few jabs, couldn't get them going, and look what happened. Usyk's not going to do that. He'll tell Moses Itauma, "I'm the champion. You can come and fight me. Let's see what you've got," type thing. I think that's the thing with Usyk. If you watch his fights, like he fights in and out. Like he'll fight on the back foot, excuse me, but then he'll take the fight to you as well. Like Fury, round 9, for example. People criticised, I've seen from Usyk saying obviously Fury should have won. Fury was the aggressor, etc. But then look at round 9. Usyk just went, right, I'll go on the front foot. This is what we do. So I would give Itauma a slight chance because, Usyk is getting old. He doesn't look like he's slowing down, but when you're fighting someone as young as Itauma, Usyk's fighting heavyweights. The current top crop of the heavyweight division are all early to late 30s. So even Django's 40 odd. So I think you have to give Itauma a chance, but I think at this stage it's a puncher's chance. Albeit, I know the question was next. If he was to fight, say, Filip Hrgovic, and he just absolutely destroys Hrgovic, then I think that 30% would rise heavily. But at the moment, for me, from what I've seen, I'd say 30%. Put him in with a Hrgovic or a Pat Joe Parker, and then we see.
Yeah, if he was to steamroll Hrgovic, that would be a massive statement. That'd be a real standout performance and win. But yeah, it's hard to kind of disagree. Maybe people think even 30% is a bit generous, but yeah, it's highly unlikely that he wins the fight. But again, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. I hope I'm kind of contradicting myself in what I said earlier, but I hope they don't rush it down too quickly here because he is something special. He really is. Just a quick one, another quick name I'll throw at you before we wrap up. You mentioned Daniel Dubois earlier and said Moses Itauma wins that. I do agree. Another name I'd love to see him in against, Anthony Joshua. Let's leave it off with a potential Anthony Joshua fight. It'd be a massive passing of the torch fight. Who wins that one?
I can't believe I'm even entertaining this question. Itauma steamrolls him again. I think AJ, the way he lost to Dubois, if he tries to fight like that against Itauma, it's just going to end sooner. If he tries to stand and trade, it's done in one. If he tries to box and move and then try and catch Itauma coming in, it's done in three. That doesn't see round 4. that fight for me. Depending on how AJ brings the fight, it's either round 1 or round 3 for me. I think Itauma's just so spiteful. I don't want to say AJ's chinny, but we've seen him hurt and dropped multiple times throughout his career now. He is still dangerous. Don't get it twisted. He did hurt Dubois, but look at Dubois lands the first big punch and bang. As soon as Itauma smells blood against someone like AJ, it's game over.
Yeah, I totally agree. This version of AJ, I think it's quicker than Dubois. It's a quicker job than Dubois made of AJ. I really do think that. I think it'll be a demolition job from Itauma. Yeah, just who do you think would be the bookie's favourite for that one?
Oh, it'd have to be Itauma. Do you know
Yeah,
what? It should be Itauma, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was AJ. Like,
yeah.
I think there's a lot of AJ fanboys, notably Paul Kelly of ESBR, who probably still believe that Anthony Joshua could still be undisputed heavyweight, unified heavyweight champion, take your pick, even just hold one belt. I think AJ's done at that level. I think he's got just a couple more cash out fights. And then he's made hundreds of millions. There's no need for him to carry on getting hurt and knocked out. So I think he's got a couple more cash out fights, but realistically, you'd expect Itauma to be a heavy odds-on favourite, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. But yeah, it's a fascinating option. But there's a lot of fascinating options for Moses Itauma following his one-round demolition job of Dillian White this past weekend in Riyadh. That was just myself and Owen discussing the possibility of an Alexander Usyk fight already for the rising unbeaten superstar for all the marbles at heavyweight. It's, yeah, as I say, what Turkey wants, Turkey usually gets, and Turkey wants this one. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see whether that happens next or not. But yeah, it was a fun discussion, that one. So let us know what you think in the comments. Get involved. Do you think would you like to see it next? And what chance would you give a Thelma if it did happen? 30%, less, more? Let us know what you think in the comments. As always, don't forget, drop a like on the video first of all. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing if you're not doing so already. And follow us on all social media. Owen, it was a pleasure. Take care.
Pleasure as always, mate.